What's going on, my eaters? It's your boy, Chef Drew, a.k.a. Chef, a.k.a. Big Drew, a.k.a. I like his bomber jacket. Y'all, we talking about sales today. I got my homie in here with us. Before we get into that conversation, please, please, please do whatever it is you got to do. Like, subscribe, do all the things so we can keep on bringing you this here content. And remember, go check out my homie John on his podcast. Last Night's Coffee. It's just two guys talking about what they want to talk about. Support them. All right, y'all. So when I was thinking about this week's conversation or topic, I was like, let me talk about something that we have not addressed at all yet. However, at least not directly. However, it touches every single one of us in our businesses, on our day-to-day, and that's sales. I got my homeboy, Jonathan Black, with us today. Jonathan, thank you for coming to Eating Chambers channel. I'm so glad you're here, for real.
Man. I'm honored.
Great.
I'm honored you'd ask.
Jonathan is a corporate salesman. He's been in sales for a long time. He's dabbled in entrepreneurship himself. He's a supporter of me. He's a supporter of the show. Yeah. We do life together. We're going to do business together one day. I'm speaking that into existence. And now we're about to do this video together. Yeah. JB. Amen. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
All right, Jonathan, let's just get started. Tell us a little bit about you, not necessarily about your profession, your career, but just a little bit about Jonathan Black.
I was born on a naval base. My dad was still in the military.
I don't think I knew that.
You may have not.
I don't think I knew
I was born in Jacksonville, Florida, on the Naval Air Station in Jacksonville. Was there for a couple years, and then my dad got out of active duty and moved up here to take a job with Delta. And spent the rest of my life here in Metro Atlanta, South Metro Atlanta specifically. And so I have a wife, 2 kids.
Do you have any, did you grow up with any kind of entrepreneurial influence? Did your mom and dad ever have any side hustles or things they did?
Yeah, they did. In fact, my parents, I don't know if you knew this or not, my parents owned a vending route for many, many years.
New information. Yeah. I'm excited right now.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny. So we lived in Riverdale. So it started when my parents moved here. They moved to Riverdale, Clayton County. Not born, but raised. Lived in Riverdale for quite a while, many years. When my dad, I think it was right around the time after my dad got laid off from Delta. Okay. He was picking up a lot of side jobs, trying to make ends meet, and my mom was working too. And they ended up buying some vending machines and slowly started buying more, placing them in local businesses around Fayette and Clayton County. Okay. And it slowly built up, and they would store all the product in our garage, and our garage was like a miniature warehouse for many years. And I would travel with them to go help fill the vending machines, take the money out, do all that stuff. So they had that vending route for many years. Ended up selling all the routes and the machines, but that was my first foray into seeing entrepreneurship.
That's awesome. How old were you when that was popping off? When they were doing that?
I was probably somewhere in the 6 to 7 years old.
Okay, so
up until we moved to Fayette. So probably until about 11, 12 years old.
Oh, so you were able to be a part of it, see it, live it. Okay, that's cool. Yeah. My brother owned a vending machine business for a while, and my parents just stuck their toe in that world for a little bit too when they first came to this country. Yeah. My dad, he used to vend peanuts. He came to this country, and to make money to begin with, he worked his day job. I think he was a janitor or something. Then that night, him and my mom roasted peanuts in their apartment.
Oh, dang, so they were making the product.
So they roasted the peanuts. Back then, it wasn't all the red tape that it is today. You know what I'm saying?
You can do anything.
Back then, you could just, they alive, you can eat it. You know what I'm saying? So they would roast peanuts in their apartment and drive around to different bars and places and hustling them roasted peanuts and vending machines. You have stuck your toe into the entrepreneurship pool before. Tell us a little bit about what that looked like for you, what you did, all that stuff.
Yeah, man.
I know the answers to these questions, y'all. I'm just trying to bless y'all with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, no, it started off as an idea. I don't know if he's watching this video. I'll give his name. Jonathan Mullins, a guy you know very well, and Joe. But he and I had always talked for years about whenever we would go to weddings, we noticed the DJ setup was like, it never, like, we would always be like, man, the music sucks, or the quality of the sound wasn't very good, and we would talk about, man, like, we could do that fairly easily. At least we thought we could. And we probably went back and forth on that idea for years. And then one day, like, he and I both realized, like, hey, we could benefit from like an extra stream of income. Yeah. There's not a lot of expenses. You just
let me cut you real quick. Just so y'all know, the Jonathans do have music backgrounds, sound and all that stuff. So it's not just like, oh, let's.
That's probably my other hobby. I should have mentioned that. I play drums. So, but yeah,
so it ain't just like, let's be DJs. They know what they're doing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So yeah, we were like, it can't be that expensive. Kind of researched it. We were like, okay, like probably all up to start. We need a sound system, a table, some things to make our setup look a little nice. And we were like, it didn't cost that much money, so we literally just borrowed the money. On interest, and bought it and and faked it till we made it, man. Did it for 4 years. Okay. The first year, talking about finances, I mean, I hope this will help the people watching here as part of the channel, but like, we decided we didn't want, there's so much profit in services, like meaning like we weren't selling a product, so we didn't have to account for like expenses every single time. Our expenses were our equipment. Yeah. So we had decided everything that we make is going to go to pay off the equipment. That way, when that time comes, when it's paid off, everything at that point is just 100% profit. Right. Until we got to replace something.
That's smart.
And so we spent most of the first year paying off our equipment. We didn't pay ourselves anything. Okay. So our wives were like, hold on, so y'all are gone like how many weekends, a year, and we've seen no free, and that's where that discipline is you really have to kick in, because the temptation was to take that money and just pay ourselves and slowly pay the equipment off. But we knew, like, hey, if we take a year, pay it all off, everything from that point on is just profit. Right. There's no expenses at that point.
So let me tell you, you said you got the job as a marketing job. And then you got presented with the opportunity to do sales. Yep. And through that, you just knew this was the lane you wanted to be in. How did you know you wanted to be in sales? And this is, I'm going to elaborate on this, but how did you know, what was it that made you say, yeah, this is for me? Because sales ain't easy. It ain't for everybody.
It's not. And the people that I've talked to over the years who have, come to me and be like, hey, what's it like? I always say, like, it's an incredibly rewarding career, but it's a very, like, stressful career. And there's a lot of highs and lows. Okay. I think for me, to answer your question, Andrew, the thing for me is, it goes back to that competitiveness. Sales is like almost like competing. So like in most sales jobs, you have a quota. And to me, there's a lot of entrepreneurial similarities to being in a career sales versus an entrepreneur. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's why you're here.
You're really not. Yeah. I mean, you're kind of the owner of your individual business. And the company that you work for, in my case, the company I work for, gives you a number and says, hey, we expect you to sell this much product, these much services, and figure it out in the next 12 months. They give you training and things of that nature, but like ultimately it's on you. Yeah. Like nobody's helping you. Yeah. I mean, you might have teams like right now, because I'm in the role I am, I have some resources that help me. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, you're accountable to that number. Right. Nobody else is.
If you ain't producing, you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah. Like if you suck, they're gonna tell you suck, and it's up to you to fix it. If you're doing great, that only lasts a small bit of time. I think it goes back to the entrepreneurial part of it, but I knew I wanted it because it was a bunch of people in the room that just were ultra competitive. Okay. So we were not only competing against ourselves, but we were competing with each other, and I loved that environment. I love that, like, I'm going to prove you wrong, or I'm going to do this even though it's difficult. Like I loved chasing that I have to have a goal to work towards. And I think sales is like the ultimate job where it's like you're constantly chasing that carrot. And at the end of the day, like it's up to you to go get it.
How do you, because I saw opportunities when I sold appliances too. I see opportunities when I'm selling this food. Talk about integrity and how you operate through those, because through those traps, through those moments or situations, because it is my opinion, I believe, that when you're talking about salespeople specifically, we all have heard about the used car salesman guy, the shady.
We'll get there.
The shady sales guy.
We'll get there.
I know you operate in integrity. So I'm doing a lot of talking. You talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think it's first and foremost, I think the most important thing that I can talk about leading into this question is I'm a believer. I love Jesus. I'm a Christian. And honestly, and this is not just a cliche statement for me, everything, all the success that I've had in my life and in my career is completely attributed to God and to Jesus. Like the older I get, the more I see that I am not nearly as good as I think I am at what I do. So knowing that God can take as quick as he gives is always something that is always in my mind. I always know that I'm one moment away from being humbled and God taking it all away from me. And so like my belief and my worldview as a Christian dominates any temptation that I may have to like not act with integrity. The first moments, I never worked at a pawn shop, but you talked about the used car salesman. I actually did for a few months work at a car dealership.
Did you?
I did, and it was the lowest time of my life.
Really?
Yeah. So I was at a moment in my life where when I was saying that I did pharmacy and then I did nursing, I had the truth is, and I'm saying this because if one person can be inspired by this, I'm hoping that's the reason why. But I went into school. I was a great student in high school. I had great grades, great SAT score, whatever. I was so lazy academically. When I went into college, I got put on academic probation. I failed so many classes that I had to be put on academic probation, which completely sunk every opportunity that I would have to be in any sort of like medical profession. I didn't get into pharmacy school. I didn't get into nursing school. And in that point in time, I had just got married, and my wife, Amber, had been basically providing the bulk of our income. And I just was like fed up with it. And I was like, I have done sales. I can do sales. And with that desperation of like wanting to do something more, like got to me. And I was like, I think I could be really good at selling cars. Because my arrogance was like, I can sell anything at that time. And so I took a job down at a dealership. I won't say the dealership name because I really don't like them. But I took a job at a dealership down in Morrow, down on Mount Zion.
I remember this. Yeah.
And I was competing with like 20 sales. It's the largest. Well, you would be able to figure that out. But it's the largest Dodge Chrysler Jeep dealership in the state of Georgia. And it was the most miserable I've ever been. And part of the reason why is because the environment was just so flooded.
Toxic.
With just the worst types of people trying to take advantage of the worst people in society. Like this dealership was right across the street from a buy here, pay here dealership. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's essentially it's the car version of a pawn shop. And people would constantly be coming in with like 400 credit scores, 500 credit scores. They would be owing $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 on their car, and they were sold a lemon, and now they had all this debt, and they were just desperate. People would come in crying, like, "Hey, I need a new car. Can you do anything for me?" And there's that temptation to just continue to pull one over on them, if they even qualified.
Right.
And it was just such a toxic environment. The types of people that worked there, they were just full of the worst types of desires that people had. And it was in that moment where I realized, like, if I'm going to do this, I need to do it the right way and the honest way. And so I was very unsuccessful in that role. And I recognized it very quickly, working 60 to 70 hours a week, making like minimum wage essentially.
What would you say? What would you say if you had to give people top 3 to 5 things that they can work on to help them, whether they're selling widgets or computers or houses or steaks? What would you say would be your boxes to check?
I'll try to go in order, but it may not be completely in order of priority. But I would say this number one thing is you don't necessarily have to love what you are doing. You've got to believe that what you are selling is what you are saying it is. You don't necessarily have to love what you're doing. Like I had a job for a few years where I was selling like essentially bolts and nuts and screws and things of that nature. Like that did not excite me at all. Right. Like selling, shop towels and degreasers and things like that. Like I didn't care about.
You ain't like the little orange scrub, JV?
Oh, dude, I want that orange scrub out, man. But like I didn't love the products,
right?
But I knew the products were good.
Yeah.
Like I could stand by what I was selling because I knew at least it was a quality product, and I knew I wasn't taking advantage of people. It was a quality product at a quality price, and the company was a legitimate company that's been around for almost 100 years. So. You have to at least believe in what you're doing, because I've been like everybody, I think at some point in their life, if they've sold anything, has been on the opposite side of that. And if you haven't, you find out real quickly that you cannot sell things effectively if you do not believe in what it is.
Truth.
I mean, just that would be the number one thing. You got to believe in what you're selling is actually good. Yeah. And it's not only good, but it's good for the person you're selling it to.
Right.
Second thing is confidence. I've been in sales roles in my life where I lacked confidence, and man, you not only you, but the person you're selling to 100% recognizes it and sees it. And then it's a dangerous spiral effect. You know that you're not confident, then that shows to the customer that you're not confident, and then your boss sees it, and then it's just this nasty sort of domino effect. So confidence in what you're doing, like, are you confident in what you're doing? So sometimes, like, you got to practice. Sometimes you just got to, if it's a pitch or something, if you're not sure how to articulate or communicate what you're doing, just while you're driving, make practice what you're doing. But you've got to be confident, because people see right through what you're doing if you're not confident, and people do not want to buy from people who are not confident in what they're selling. And
confidence doesn't have to be arrogant.
No.
Actually, confidence should not be arrogant. I feel like confidence, when in the way you're describing it, in the way I implement it, is just a knowing. I just know what I'm producing. There's value. I just know that I'm using good ingredients. I just know that it can benefit your life. You just got to know.
Yeah, well, and that it's not arrogance at all, but it is like, you mentioned in music, you can also tell music, like you can tell when people are not confident.
Yeah.
So like in music, if it's not familiar, in music, you can tell musicians who are not confident either. Like they play differently, they're not hitting it with conviction. They're maybe playing softer than they would normally play because they're not confident in what they're doing. And same thing goes for sales. Like you can tell when a salesperson is not confident. They're like, there's something about what they're projecting that you can tell they're not confident in. And sometimes a lot of times, by the way, it's just inexperience.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't mean that you don't believe in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're just like, when you're new to a job, you're sitting there like, I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense to all of the person I'm talking to.
Right.
And you know it, and they know it, most likely. And so confidence is a big part of is a really big thing. And the first two can kind of go into the third thing. And this could also be the first number one if we're talking about order priority. My first boss, the guy that gave me that first sales job, he said something. It's not, he didn't originate it. It's been said before, but it's always stuck with me. A couple of things that he's actually said in my life that stuck with me. People buy from people they like, know, and trust.
And I would say believe in.
Bottom line.
Period. You met my homie JB.
Hey, enjoyed it.
Thanks so much. We're gonna do this again. We're always here for you guys. We want to educate you, we want to excite you, and we want to empower you into your future, into the business and the life that you want. Please, please, please remember, until next time, like, subscribe, do all the things. And until then, we are out of here.